This is Albert from Rainwater Systems. It is November 14th, 2023. And we have spent the last 6 weeks working inside people's houses. The backlog for interior drainage has been extraordinary. There's a ton of people that have had water coming through their floors in these San Diego houses. Houses built, even recently are having issues, but especially houses built in the 70s and earlier. The French drains has failed. So our method is to come in. We have to figure out where the footing is. And we do that by some test holes. Now this is something I never do during an estimate, because I'm not going to make holes in somebody's floor. But when it comes time to do the job, the way we determine the location of the drain is by these exploratory holes. So we kind of have to figure out where the footing is. Most of the time a footing will end about 8 inches from the wall. This is a giant footing. It might be 5 feet from side to side. So the footing extends all the way out, almost 3 feet from the walls, and then goes down an unknown depth. We've hit dirt here in the slab. So by installing a French drain, the hydrostatic pressure will be relieved. The water will no longer push through the walls. It will have to exit mechanically out the floor. This is our sump pump location. Use dust collectors. So this is a good example of when theory meets reality. Is my plan had called for the drain to go through the closet floor all the way to the corner and extend to this corner, but as it turns out, this is a giant footing here. Actually never seen one this big, but exploratory holes pushed us out solid 4 feet away from the interior walls where there was moisture coming through. So we've installed trenches that will have a 4-inch solid wall pipe. We had some luck in getting through the rock. Rock is usually much harder to deal with than concrete. So in this job, I had mentally prepared the customer that the pump location might have to move, but we were able to break these quartzite granite rocks out. So the pump is now in a hole that's 30 inches deep below the floor. So this was an interior space that would flood, and you can see the depth that the footing is, the rock underneath it. So when you install some amount of drainage that's lower than the footing, the water will not be able to push through the cold seam. There's a cold seam on these walls. What I mean by that is that these are cinder block walls. So they excavate this lot in the hillside and carve it flat, and then they'll put a French drain at the base of this wall around the perimeter of the house, and then they build these block walls. And at that point, the concrete floor is poured. And if a contractor is excellent, the footings are going to look like this. This is an excellent house. As far as the concrete work, drainage, perhaps not, but the footing is really, really well done. So we're able to cut into the floor, install the drainage system, patch the floor with rebar reinforced concrete, all in a little less than a week. Water has deteriorated a visible hole through that wall, so there was a stream out of there, so we've got to cut a little branch line in, even though that's going to be not at the depth, so we can't cut into that footing, so we're basically just going to carve a path for that water to come underneath the concrete into the French drain pipe. So visible deterioration, not that uncommon. It's rather extreme to see that a level of erosion in a wall. Soil is all very wet underneath the floor. And now the floor will get put back together with rebar and forced concrete. And they'll be able to park and drive on it. This is Albert from Rainwater Systems.